good salient point as to the development that we need in our country. Hey, old friend, what's going on?
Hey, right here, man. Mr. Boswick, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm glad to see you come back on peace, man.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Boswick, it's WTO.
We're going to get to that in just a minute. That's our next topic.
Right? It's WTO, Mr. Boswick. I see the WTO because they crippled the Bahamas. Why is that, right? Because the United States pull out and other Western countries pull out. Right?
They haven't done so yet, but they're thinking about it. Mm-hmm.
Right? Saying, right? How this economy can run with WTO? Now, what's the human, what about our sovereignty in Bahamas? What about the job industry field? The poor behemoths, how they can make it?
All of these things, my friend, in a minute, we will address in just a minute. I just want to take a break, but you're right. You have some good questions you asked, and we're going to put those questions to John Boswick because he seemed to understand a number of things. He talked about CARICOM earlier in this program today that says we should go and tap into the 120-plus countries that are part of the CARICOM and other entities that we could join, but we've not decided to do those. All we want to do is just throw up our hands and say, it's a laissez-faire time. We don't have to do anything much. Just let the big boys run the world, and they're going to be running our economy. And maybe there's a truth to it that our government seems to just be deciding that, this is a good thing. We don't have to do anything if these guys are running things. We don't have to do anything. And that all of these things we must talk about in just a minute, okay? So just listen up for a minute. We'll do that in just a minute when we come back from the break, all right?
One thing I want to say.
Sure.
I believe the WTO. I believe the big boys in the States. I believe they work with the government. I believe the government gets paid something. That's what I believe. I want to understand it. Is it big nasty putting the why we are jumping ourselves in it?
Good question. Good question. Let me take your final call here, then I run to the break. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Good day, man.
Peace and love.
Brother Boswick, how are you?
Good day, sir.
I hear you, but I have always been... Yes, big brother. I have all... yes, brother. I'm going to say yes, brother, because Steve had the older brothers on yesterday. And Steve, that was an awesome show. I intentionally did not call. I wanted to let the big brothers speak. So when the younger brothers, see, and that's it, because everybody can't talk one time. All right? And yesterday, and that's because the man, you know who I call the man? He said the day earlier who he was bringing on. And if the bigger brothers is coming on, then the younger brothers should just have enough wisdom to listen.
I hear you.
Now, Steve, and I know you want to go to your break, so Brother Boswick, I maintain this point that the biggest single issue facing the people of the Bahamas is the light bill. And I'm now going to add, Steve, the abuse of the Bahamian people. And the A to that is child or children abuse. Now, Steve, the third point. Brother Boswick, in your humble opinion, what is the figure in respect to the fuel in the last at least 35 years? We're celebrating 46 years, 2019, in a little while. I am 1,000% with you when you spoke about hydroelectric, when you, the movable electric plant, and I said I would only add to this, add to that is this. That is for the smaller islands, and the solar is for the smaller islands, and that plant, what you're talking about, can service the smallest little rock on the planet, which is Nassau or New Providence. Okay, so we have to know where to place the money. You understand, and how to do one or two things. Now, you spoke about getting our land back. This is what you came to the show to say, and I don't want you to get off that point, not even for WTO, and Steve is with me on this. In other words, the Bahamas must not get sidetracked. Okay? Hello?
We got your point.
Okay, yes, don't get sidetracked about other people's affairs. Okay? Thank God for the United States and their president, Great Britain, and what they're dealing with. But you know what? God bless the children of this country with what we have according to the preamble of our Constitution, okay? According to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights document of which our preamble came out of. That's the foundation. Without foundation, the Bible says in Psalms 80, Psalms 82, verse 5, Steve, and my brother Boss Rick. The foundation of the whole earth is off course. Now, and the only way you're going to get back on course is to recognize what the Most High has given you and who gave it and who's coming for it and what is your duty to make sure what you're going to echo, the light you're going to emanate from you, the voice, what they're going to hear coming from your core, they're going to know that before they even come, don't go, because that crew over there, they too bright, dealing of darkness, like your WTO, like your CSME, your only thing, man, Steve, go to the break.
Yeah, he's getting hot. 6:32 is the time right now. John Boss is going to be coming back. We've got to address a lot of these things because people want to know. And it's good that you're back just to put some light on this thing because, everybody's been talking. All kind of people been talking.
Amen.
But there's nothing like when we have sober conversation from people who've been researched and understand what is really happening. And then, of course, we've got to ask you a direct question. Should we really be joining the WTO and that kind of stuff? This sounds like a basic thing, but no one has asked that question. Should we really be joining this WTO?
Hello.
And if we're not going to join the WTO, what else can we do to make sure that we can keep ourselves in the world? Let's run to the break. We're going to play a break here now. It's 6:33 our time right here on Hard Copy. You can call Hard Copy at 325-023516, 325-0242. That's another ugly matter that's people have been talking about. We got to talk about those things, even though some people believe that it's not going to happen. We've got to still talk about it. In a minute, right here today on Hard Copy on the Friday Tradition. We're having some fun as we talk about some issues of the country. One of the biggest issues in the country right now, the World Trade Organization, it's a hot button item, and the people are confused. Let me just tell you, first and foremost, the people are confused. They can't figure out what we should do. Should we join or shouldn't we join? And this is the question, and nobody seems to have the answers to that, except that some good old boys like Chivago Lang and Company are saying that we should, and it looks pretty good, and they may be getting this ascension going to happen somewhere around about April or thereabouts, and that kind of stuff. And people are wondering, but we haven't had the discussion yet. Brother Lang, where's the discussion? That kind of stuff. But John, what are your thoughts on this whole matter? Because WTO is the biggest hot button item in this country right now, and something has got to happen before these people really freak out because they don't understand what's happening.
It's frightening, for something so massive and game-changing and forever game-changing, not just momentarily game-changing. Mm-hmm. It changes the reality of our economic and social landscape because it talks about almost a free movement of people.
That's what it is.
In many services, in a wide range of services, and not just the free moving of people where they are allowed to move in positions of not just employment, but move in positions of ownership. And here where I am at with ownership, we're not yet seized of ownership of our country, much less to open the gates.
So how could we open the gates to other people?
You could hear.
Are we silly?
You know where I stand with that, Steve, with the WTO. Just where I started with, we need to get back to occupying the national high ground. That's a military position,
Occupy the national high ground.
Occupy the national high ground where we can see the border from near and far. And we also need, I started by saying, to get back to keeping the gate. And gatekeepers don't be on the gate to hold the gate open. For damn sure ain't up there to hold the gate open. Okay? And that's to hold the gate closed. And the truth is that we've already let in too much. All right?
What kind of filth is already in here?
We've let in too much. We've let in so much that we've...
We're having some fun as we talk about some issues of the country. One of the biggest issues in the country right now, the World Trade Organization, it's a hot button item. People are wondering, but we haven't had the discussion yet. Brother Lang, where's the discussion? that kind of stuff. But John, what are your thoughts on this whole matter? Because WTO is the biggest hot button item in this country right now, and something has got to happen before these people really freak out because they don't understand what's happening.
You know, it's frightening, you know, for something so massive and game-changing and forever game-changing, not just momentarily game-changing. Mm-hmm. It changes the reality of our economic and social landscape because it talks about almost a free movement of people.
That's what it is.
In many services, in a wide range of services. And not just the free moving of people where they are allowed to move and move in positions of not just employment, but move in positions of ownership. And here where I am at with ownership, we're not yet seized of ownership of our country, much less to open the gates.
So how could we open the gates to other people?
You could hear...
Are we silly?
You know where I stand with that, Steve, with the WTO. Just where you know I started with, we need to get back to occupying the national high ground. That's a military position, you know.
Occupy the national high ground.
Occupy the national high ground where we can see the border from near and far. And we also need, I started by saying, to get back to keeping the gate. And gatekeepers don't be on the gate to hold the gate open. For damn sure ain't up there to hold the gate open. Okay? And that's to hold the gate closed. And the truth is that we've already let in too much. All right?
What kind of filth is already in here?
We've let in too much. We've let in so much that we've denigrated our social structure and our society itself. And we've let in so much in the form of foreign direct ownership that we've been priced out of ownership of land in many cases. So I'm one that has written that we need to get back to or move towards policies of leasing land, not sale. Long-term leaseholds.
This particular government now is not interested in doing that. The Christie government were not interested in that. The Ingram government was not interested in doing that. In fact, they changed it from what Pinnan had done. And so, right now, I don't even know if we can get back to that area unless we have a shift in the dynamics of politics in this country.
So you see where I went? I went to the extreme. Much less talk about WTO. I'm talking about a ceasing of sale of land. Much less talk about WTO. No, we are not ready, not in any form, shape, ready to consider ascension to the WTO.
Well, you know,
just to make sure I make my position on the matter clear.
Yeah,
no, we are not ready.
Tennessee Wells was here the other day, you know, and he was...
We had 20 years to get ready. He still ain't ready.
That's what he said. He said, we had 20 years to get ready, and we ain't ready. So in a way, I suppose he was kind of like saying, well, that's good for you all, because now you're not going to be ready, and you're complaining and all that. No sense of complaining, because the world is changing. He says the world is changing, and we've got to get used to those changes. And I was just... when I heard him say those statements, and of course he sparked a lot of debate about that whole matter, but he was saying that we are supposed to have been out front a long time, and we didn't do what we were supposed to do.
You know, I feel like our leaders are bundling up the Bahamas and selling us off into an arranged marriage, you know? And we're not being asked what we want to do and what we don't want to do. If this country could go to a referendum to be asked if they want to legalize gaming, that was so fundamental a shift in our social and moral structure that the government of the day felt it was necessary to seek the mandate of the Bahamian people on that particular issue.
They did.
They turned around and told them to go to hell. All right, they didn't care what they thought because they thought that they had them so morally corrupt that the answer was going to be yes. Turned out to be no, and they said, anyway, we can do what we want.
They ain't making that mistake no more.
Well,
that's right.
I would suggest that the changes in the social and economic structure that will occur with full ascension to the WTO are so fundamental that they should be the topic of referendum. All over the world,
of course.
all over the world, when countries made that final decision to ascend or not to ascend,
That's right.
the people were given the choice to vote on that. That is a big deal.
But these guys don't even want to give us that.
No, but we see, we now need to start lining the people up on how to focus on certain issues.
Every nation
there
was
you go.
signed,
You're right about it.
people
All
voted.
right, because there's too much out there. It's okay. One thing to say, no,
government just
WTO. What? Okay, hold on a
arbitrarily
second. The
put
first
them in
issue
that
is
kind of predicament.
we want to say.
Good point.
First issue.
And how we going to get a say? We want a referendum.
We want a
Yes.
I
referendum.
saw
demanding.
Patrick Paul.
We are
Reverend Patrick
demanding
Paul.
a referendum.
He was on my show yesterday, and today he felt so compelled to write a statement. He made a statement today, making sure that people understand that, yeah, we got to put some voices on this thing and give some kind of body to this shift of people who are just out there talking. We need a referendum, and we need nothing else. First thing first, referendum. That's what he's saying. That's a good thing.
First things first. And if you can, it's going to take, and we don't want any, see, Steve, I've been off already a long time. I have to learn to govern my language. We don't want any smoke and mirrors, half-cocked, 6 months referendum. We want to be educated. We want not this industry consultation.
Right.
All right. You're not going to take advantage of the average population.
There you go.
No, not at all.
We want broad,
Sweeping.
Sweeping
I understand.
consultation.
consultation.
But see,
And don't just bring
I
in.
told Tennyson, John, I hear what you're saying. Hold your point. I told Tennyson, but it seemed to be so late in this game for the kind of things that we really would want to have happen in a referendum. It seems very, very
All
late
of these people
because
wouldn't
these
be coming
guys
to
are
this
on a
country
fast track
to do
to get
business.
to the WTO.
They have
Well,
a house
the
where they
truth is
live.
that
Okay?
We want the referendum.
They have a home.
We know
Their
the
children
answer is going to be
has a school and educated. They have medical health care.
And
What do we have?
When you are told no,
We're not ready.
we then want you to
We're not ready.
sit back
A
with a
national
Chinese-type
referendum
philosophy.
will settle the deal.
Because the Chinese made use
Okay?
of the WTO.
Full stop.
That's why Trump is screaming about it.
Right.
Because they got played. And the Chinese turned it on its head, and they really did take full advantage. They've been in it forever. What was their economic advantage? Well, cheap labor. At the time, it's no longer it's so cheap, but it's cheap labor. So they became the manufacturing destination for the world.
That's how they got the jump on everybody else.
They won
China.
that. They won that game. And so we need to sit back and look at it from a long game.
Right.
All right, and say, one, we're not ready.
Thank
Two,
you.
what do we have to do to get ready if it is something
Right,
that we
now
feel
let's-
is a must?
Yes.
And I don't see it as a must.
We don't see
Now
it as a must.
or
But
then,
what?
to be honest.
But
Some people suggested that it
What-
should take about 60 years before in a couple of
No, no, no,
generations
no, no,
down the road
no, no,
before we
uh-uh.
can join this.
we could join
Well,
that in.
I
We could
think
join
there are
that
certain
within 10
things that need
years.
to be achieved prior to any thought of ascending
Within
to
10 years,
WTO,
but
and I go right back to
There
it.
has to be
Primarily,
a
I can put it in one word: ownership.
overhaul
Ownership of all primary
of the
industries.
policies in this
Ownership
country.
of the tourism sector, ownership of the
Ownership.
banking
The
sector,
world- the world
That's
is
right.
changed,
Ownership of
Charlie.
a
These
manufacturing
guys
That's
are
right. We have to
looking
own
at
it
the ownership
all.
of anybody in this
For it to
country.
work,
And
the
that's what
Bahamians
the bottom
have to
line
own
really
it
is.
and
and we
benefit.
don't need it to be funded by
No
the
one.
IDB and all the rest
No
of it.
one.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
If you liberate the banking sector and let Bahamians own the banks,
Right.
and then have policies that encourage lending,
Right.
then we can fund our own genesis, our own rebirth, as you say, our own new Bahamas.
That's right. The
That
recovery.
can- the recovery of the new Bahamas.
Yes.
We are not like the previous generation who seems to have been completely blinkered and brainwashed into the belief that we have nothing and are nothing.
And will never
Hidden in that
get
speech
anything.
made on Independence Day by the good Reverend was the words that you've been blessed with sun, sand, and sea. That was almost prophetic, because the sand is aragonite and silicate.
That's right.
And it's worth something. It's worth billions. Okay? It's worth billions unrefined. It's worth tens of billions refined.
First independent speech.
And it's worth hundreds of billions once it's actually turned into the multiple commodities it can be turned into.
I can hear him right now. Look out
Okay.
there. See that sun?
Okay? The sun, as Amos or JT said, I pushed very hard for the floating power plant, and that would have been powered with LNG. I am
Okay,
actually still looking at that slightly, but
whatever
more
one
so
you're
looking
talking
at
about, that's
solar
the one I
solutions,
mean.
because the truth
LNG.
is
That's what I meant.
that we're sitting on the Tropic of Capricorn with more sunlight hours than
That's
almost
right.
any country in the world.
That's right.
And
we
we
have the
have
solar,
the
we can
ability.
have
If
both,
Germany
have it
got
all.
to a point last year where they were actually paying their electrical consumers money because of so much renewable energy was being generated at
I
the point.
know.
Wouldn't that be nice in the Bahamas?
That's
Could you
right.
imagine? We have 2 and 3 times the sunlight hour that Germany has.
Everybody pitch something on that roof and
Okay.
just capture the sun and
Yes.
sell
Capture
it back
the
to the
sun.
people.
You got it enough
And sell
to
it back. But you see,
enough to sell back.
there are oligarchical reasons.
You get that. They're all down in marijuana these days talking all this kind of stuff. You see that?
Okay?
Okay.
There are oligarchical reasons that we do not have solar systems being promoted throughout the Bahamas aggressively.
Right.
But it is something that I'm focused on.
Okay.
And it is
stay
something that I
focused.
will be pushing aggressively
Just stay
within the
focused.
next few weeks, to
And
be
I can be
honest.
pushing with you.
Wonderful.
So Steve, there are all kinds of answers. The sun, the
I can be
sand, and the
pushing
sea,
with
the
you.
wealth
We're
that's
not
in the
right
sea,
with that.
the kinetic energy that's in the sea, the kinetic energy that runs between Current Island and North Eleuthera,
Right.
21 knots.
Wow.
21 knots, and we haven't figured out how to put a turbine in there and power this country. It's insane.
Insane.
It's insane.
Wow.
Pardon me,
21
our leaders
knots.
are waiting for somebody
I
else to
didn't
come
know that.
suggest that to them.
They're waiting for us to
And they'll
join
do
the
it.
WTO,
Yeah.
and then one of these
Somebody else
countries that
will grab it.
specializes in hydroelectricity will come in and build a dam and own a dam that we can't build for ourselves and own.
My Lord. 654, let me take a call on the line. How you doing? Hot copy?
Hey, good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Peace and love, all is well.
All right, happy New Year to you.
Thank you, sir.
And good evening, John. How you doing?
Good evening, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Happy New Year to yourself as well, and good evening to the nation. Just chime into the conversation, wanted to just mention something real quickly. But you want to end it on a point that's not right that I got to pick up. Almost caused me to lose my point, but I haven't lost my point. I was in California recently, right? And it amazed me that in California, where they actually have to pump water in to supply Californians with water, they have hydroelectric plants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus creepers, what is going on in our country? We have this
Talk to me
abundance
now.
of water, right? We have this abundance of sunlight, right? We have this abundance of current, but we are struggling with high electricity bills. And that leads me into the WTO. How in the world could we possibly compete in any market with the high cost of electricity, with the high cost of labor, with the high cost of everything, every service in our country, right? Much less importing on top of that. How in the world can we compete? When I listen to Brother Lang speak about leveling the playing field, and other persons who represent WTO talking about leveling the playing fields across countries, that's a hoax. And I'll tell you exactly why. That is a hoax simply for this fact. We have many major G5, 7, 8, whatever, 9, 10, 11 countries who have negotiated what they
Talk
saw
to me
fit
now.
to cover their country and to cover their people, right? And so if you have these countries, hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
We're listening.
Of these countries who are getting the benefits out of joining WTO because of what they bring to the bloc, right? And you have the smaller countries who are unable to leverage any benefit because they're not really bringing much to the table by way of trade and by way of opportunity. How in the world could we talk about the playing field being leveled? The playing field is not leveled.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say all
They are
along.
leveling
Right.
from a fundamental point of view to further take advantage of opportunities,
That is a
as
well
John
saying.
sort of alluded to.
Playing field got to be level.
That we haven't even begun to figure out ourselves, much less we don't even know what opportunities and advantages these countries have gained through their negotiations in WTO, but we're going to the table to give up the little hope and opportunity that we have left in our country after the oligarchs finish taking whatever is on the table over the next 2.5 years. Come on, man, let's just all say, put this thing to referendum and let's say no the proper way to WTO until the government puts the fundamentals in place to give us access to opportunities for wealth in our own country, and then we can look at competing on
We
the
are
global.
all in agreement with you, my friend.
God bless.
Thank you very
100%
much.
agree.
We're all in agreement with you.
See, they can say this leveling the playing field, and the caller is 100% right. We're sitting here with energy costs over the moon, with a cost of living that is in the top 5 in the world. How could you talk about leveling the playing field? We can't feed ourselves. We are a country that is importing 92% of what we consume. 92%. We got countries in the WTO that are burning food reserves. They produce so much food that they burn it. They have too much food. When you talk about leveling the playing field, that is almost to me an insane, a grossly insane and perverse comment.
Yeah.
There's no leveling. We're running a D average, an F average in the public school system. How can we talk about leveling the playing field with regard to our workforce compared to their workforce?
That's right. That's what I was trying to say to Mr. Wells. How can you even contemplate such a thing to believe that we can just, everything's going to be equal, man. We can all be even, yeah. Even with what? They got 60 years of experience, 100 years of experience as industrialized countries. We got 40 years.
Impossible. They borrowing money at 2%.
Yes.
Impossible. Impossible.
See, these are the kind of debates that we...
Now, you spoke about getting our land back. This is what you came to the show to say, and I don't want you to get off that point, not even for WTO, and Steve is with me on this. In other words, the Bahamas must not get...
You are saying what you have to say without any kind of self-contradiction.
Society that seeked or sought to display itself at its worst, at its base.
Yes.
Okay, you had a society where persons sought to reflect the best of themselves, even if they had some other things going on. But they sought to reflect the best of themselves. And we have to get back to that. We have to get back to those founding fathers who actually wrote the philosophy that creates a person like me who says I'm a born free Bahamian, all right, and says it with a level of aggression and prepared to die and fight for it. And because for me, I bought into forward, onward, upward, together. For me, to be Bahamian is to be moving forward. It is to be progressive. It is to be really pushing. That's what it is to me, to be Bahamian, all right? And it is to also seek to move in a spirit of love. Love and unity, to seek to unite with my brother and my sister, and we have common problems, and if a storm comes, it can hit us all. We all got a batten off. You done batten up your house, go batten up your neighbor's house.
Things like that.
This is where we were, but now we are caught up in a system of self-hatred, of dogged competitiveness, and it is getting worse. So to that extent, Steve, part of what we need to do philosophically is to cling back to what we are supposed to be. And that's the other thing I like to look at is that to move this country forward is to move our economy forward. And it just really breaks down to that. And this is what we're all talking about. The economy has been in a stagnant situation for decades.
And we want to talk about some of these things today because it's very, very important because we just can't leave things the way they are right now because the mood is, for us, at least for me, I want to see this Bahamas recovered. See, somebody left things out in the cold and we had just been drifting along. Something went wrong with us. And I don't think that we realize how much things have gone wrong with us. But when you look at the kind of situations that we have in this country, non-collection of garbage, roads can't be paved, all these kinds of things. You know, when I think of that, I say, well, what has happened to us? What has happened to us? We can't get anything right anymore. We can't get systems right. There's everything that's going wrong. We can't get government right. We can't seem to pick people who are interested in looking out for the welfare and the compassion of others in this country. And, you know, like last Christmas, it was a terrible Christmas because people just weren't checking. Nobody was checking. And this country continues to move every day with no one checking. And that's a crying shame because the school that we come from, it wasn't like that, as you said. It wasn't like that. We looked out for each other. We would go and help batten down somebody else's house. We would look out for the youngsters and all that. And I don't want us to make it look as if we are talking way back. We're just talking yesterday. And the truth is, we have forgotten who we really are. Now, you could judge me and say, well, you know, Steve, the people have been telling us that, you know, all these new people have come to town. These migrants from here, migrants from there, they've changed the sociology. There's a word for you. See, people forgot things like that. Every time we talk about issues in this country, there's a young man who calls me, not so young, his name is Dr. Elwood Donaldson, who calls me all the time and say, but what about the sociology of this thing? And people $17. I'm talking about home phones. These are things that are happening as we speak. These are things that are happening as we speak. Something is definitely wrong in our country, because if you are going to hustle a man and you want that $17 so bad, this is the rental thing now, $17 so bad, you could turn him off. Something is wrong. But you know what I found out was wrong today, Mark? That these guys don't have the contracts for anything in the Bahamas anymore. You can call directory assistance and you can't get anything done here. It'll take you 3 months to get your telephone turned back on if it gets turned off. You hear what I said? 3 months it'll take you to get your telephone turned back on in the Bahamas if it gets turned off.
On certain numbers you can't dial from your home phone or your regular. I hope you all realize that. You can't dial certain numbers, you know.
All of these things are happening in the Bahamas. The beautiful place we know as home, the Bahamas, where we had the best in telecommunications, the best in water and sewage, the best in all things possible. Now today we have gone to the dumps. We are in the dumps because we can't even keep the telephones on. We can't even get proper service for the businesses in this country. Businesses are suffering because this is what the reality is in the new Bahamas today. My Lord, what a shame. What a shame.
We used to be called paradise, but now it is referred to as hell.
But anyway,
it's really their paradise and our hell.
Yeah.
Don't think it is
very true.
Yeah.
It's their paradise.
Say that for me
their
again.
paradise and our hell.
Hell, yeah.
You know, but it was the Honorable Arthur D. Onana said, say, Leslie, you know, the day must come when we as a people must decide on what type of country we're going to build for our people, for our children and Bahamians yet unborn. See, because when the man coming here, the foreigner coming here, and build something for us or do something for himself, when things go bad, you know what you can do? You can catch that flight over here, and we can be the one to catch all the hell that he left behind. And we see it happen every single day. Drive careful, babies. Have a good evening.
21 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good evening. That's our show today, right here on Hard Copy. Stevie, if you are willing to just play that jingle, let's go home. $17. I'm talking about home phones.